Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reds Rundown Podcast. This is by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob. He's Joe, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Joe, how you doing? We always start off with a little how do you do? How was your weekend?
It was good. We had the combine. We had some Red Spring Training baseball available to watch, which has been a big bugaboo, obviously. And we have World Baseball Classic this week. It's a good time, man. It's good. The weather's changing, and it's a good time to be around.
Yeah, no doubt about it. We got some interesting things. I know we had some snow overnight, which was fun, and now we're getting ready for hopefully some good World Baseball Classic baseball. We'll have a couple players heading off here probably today. I would assume that they would be gone. So, yeah, we've got a pretty big, small but big show. A lot of small things to go over today. We're going to talk about how the Reds played over those 6 games that we had, Joe, since the last time that we talked. They've got, I believe it's 6, technically 7 more with a split squad coming up this week. We'll go over the final roster spot, who's fighting for what. We got some bullpen action, and we will give our first starting lineup predictions for opening day. We will ask you guys, let us know in the comments section below or let us know on Twitter, who are your opening day starters? Okay, yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe if you're new. We appreciate it, and we want to continue to bring you guys Reds baseball every single week. But let's get into it here, Joe. Red Spring Training, the Reds went 4-2 over this time period. They played, I would say, very well. The Reds were able to take down the Cardinals 5-4. White Sox 3-2, Padres 11-10. They lost to the Angels 4-3, and they beat the Milwaukee Brewers 9-7 in a fun comeback W for them in that one. And then they got smoked by the Athletics 12-4. What's interesting, Joe, is that we're seeing a lot of one-run wins out of the Reds. Not that it matters too much for spring training, but 3-1 in one-run games is certainly very nice to see. We saw most every pitcher get some time. We've seen just about every hitter as well, find some time. They even had Garrett Hampson at shortstop, which apparently made, it made the Cowboys' hair stand up on end. He apparently was not happy about it, but then there was a play that was made afterwards, from what I could tell. So pretty crazy stuff there, but also just fun to hear. Let's just start with what stood out to you from this week.
Yeah, I think the power is here. I think I tweeted it out this week. The number of people who have hit home runs has been awesome. Now, the leader is 1. Everyone's tied with 1, which I want to see more of as we get closer because, we're, 8, 9 games into spring training now, 8 games into spring training. That's something I want to see more, but literally almost everyone you could have wanted to see hit a home run has hit a home run, and that includes guys like Matt McLain, who's trying to have a bounce-back season. That includes Gino getting his first home run, Sal Stewart hitting the ball pretty well, J.J. Bleday, Dane Myers, some of the guys who are trying to make the team. Ellie has a home run, so that was the thing that popped out to me the most is I do want to see people hit multiple home runs coming up because I think 1 home run every 8 games is something that is good for some of these guys, but for other guys like Gino, maybe we're expecting a bit more. So we'll see how that goes. Also, Nathaniel Lowe in there as well, who's trying to make the roster, and he tattooed that ball, man. That was
Dude,
crazy.
yeah, that ball was smoked. He and Bleday both hit like 450 plus shots. So
Yeah. So the power being up is good, and I think the other note that I think I have to talk about is just the bullpen from this. Is just the bullpen, and some of the starters too are not pitching that well. I'm not concerned about our top end starters. Like Hunter Green always struggles in spring. Who cares? But the bullpen battle, I would say while our bullpen has been struggling, like you said, Rob, 1-run games are going in our favor right now. We have that says something about the bullpen, even if the stats aren't always there. And also, if you have more power, that makes up for the bullpen maybe not being exactly where we expect it right now. So last year, it was a lot of pitching, defense, bullpen trying to win games when our bullpen was okay and average, and that helped us get to the playoffs. But this year we'll have a little bit more of like an offensive pickup to kind of help in these hard times. Like we said, spring training doesn't really matter the record, but being able to win games because you're hitting home runs and putting the ball in play, as opposed to last year where it was just like sometimes when our pitching didn't work out, we lost just about every game. So I'm really excited about the progress from spring. Not reading too much into the pitcher struggles, but I am kind of like getting a little excited about the power from this Reds team. Maybe that makes me a little bit hypocritical, but I don't care.
It's not, because I was going to explain for everybody. The reason why is because I actually told my dad this yesterday, is that, pitchers are trying out new things specifically during this time period. So that first week-ish to 10 games, you'll see pitchers who are trying out new pitches, right? We've seen Chase Burns trying that out. We've seen Hunter Green do that. I think I've explained this even last week. I do most spring training games because I think it's important for everybody to know that, like, there's the expectation that they're going to try new pitches. They're going to try maybe even a little bit of a different delivery at times. It's, once we get deeper in, do we see things starting to kind of click for them, right? So Hunter Green's start, not a big deal. Hunter Green is 100% a guy who was probably working on a different pitch or, testing out if he could, try a different location on certain things. All that, not that big a deal. For the hitters, though, they are just seeing big league pitching for the same time. That's where it differs, right? They are also working on stance changes and everything like that, but it's more of like there's less to test when you're a hitter necessarily, right? It's really just, am I seeing the ball well? Can I hit this pitch well? Right? You can't control where the ball is going to go. So the only thing you can really change is, how's my stance? Where are my hands getting to? How are my hips opening up? All that kind of stuff, right? And those are just natural things that you do as a hitter anyways. So, at least offensively, it makes sense. And you're right. The Reds, by the way, have actually played the tied for the least amount of games so far in spring training, but they are they're one under the top 10 for home runs so far. They have 11, and they have 11 guys who have hit a home run. So very cool to see that. You got the Yankees who are just popping off. They got 22 home runs in 10 games. So pretty terrifying, to say the least. But the Reds are hitting for the most part well, and we're going to go into that here. We should really just do it now. We're talking about the final roster spot heating up. You've got JJ Bleday, as you said, Joe. I'll give you his stats right now. Here we go. So in 4 games, he's got 11 at-bats. He's near the top of that. 5 hits, a double, a home run, 4 RBIs, 1 walk to 1 strikeout. He's batting .455, 500 on base, .818 slugging for an OPS of 1318, which is pretty crazy. Then you've got Dane Myers, who is also fighting for a spot, as we know. He's got 5 games, but 11 at-bats as well. He's got 5 hits as well, 2 doubles, a home run, 5 RBIs, 3 walks to 0 strikeouts, by the way. .455, .517, .909 for a 1480. He is one of the players near the top in OPS. And then lastly, we've got Nathaniel Lowe. He hit his first big home run. He's got 10 at-bats, 2 hits, 1 home run, 3 RBIs, 1 walk to 2 strikeouts. He's at a 773 OPS with a 200 batting average. I feel like those are the 3 guys that we're really watching. I'll give a quick shout out. Blake Dunn had 2 big hits in his last game. He had a home run and a double down the left field line that scored 3. Michael Chavis as well had a big home run. He's batting .273. Tyler Callahan had a big home run after his surgery. So that was really good to see as well. And then Will Benson is still 2 for 10 with a home run, 2 walks to 2 strikeouts. His OPS is .833. We would take that all freaking day from him. So everybody's playing well who I think is actually battling for a spot, to be clear. I still think there are some guys who, Christian Encarnacion Strand, I think he's 1 for 6 so far with a single. We don't really expect much from him. The Reds did show off Steele Hall, one of their more recent, I think he was last year's first round pick or the year before, I can't remember, but he's a young dude. He's only like 19 or something like that. So it's pretty crazy that they're getting him MLB at bats already, by the way. So I know it's just spring training, but yeah, you'll see them start kind of pushing some guys down for that. And then the last one, I will say that we probably should mention is Reese Hines is 4 for 8, no home runs, but he has a double, a triple, Weirdly enough, no RBIs, but he's got 4 strikeouts. So he's either hit the ball or struck out. So still very Reese Hines of him. But those are the big guys here. How are you feeling heading into this? Because my first thing that I thought of, that I've been tweeting about a lot, is this Reds team is deep. We are deep for the first time in a while. It feels like all the young guys are taking a step up. Even Edwin Arroyo's been hitting okay and apparently playing outstanding defense. Gino thinks he's a potential all-star in the future, which is pretty cool. Should help hype the Reds up to be able to, I think, probably offload him at some point here in a trade. But, I feel like this roster spot is really heating up. I mean, the guy who I really thought might not have an inside edge is Dane Myers, and he is hitting the absolute crap out of the ball right now. I mean, he's been playing, I think, some very impressive baseball so far. He's been hitting the ball inside out. Again, he's not striking out. Like, I don't know, Joe. This is kind of fun.
No, it is fun. And, I think our expectations, things are still going to come down the way we think they're going to come down. One of those outfielders is going to be, sent down, and they're going to use the options, whatever. But it's everything you could have wanted to see from Dane Myers, too. I said that about some of the guys hitting home runs. Everyone you wanted to see hit a home run, including Dane Myers. If he has a little bit more pop in his bat this year, that really helps his case. Wasn't just the home run, though. He had that double.
Yep.
So I'm impressed with him. I still think he might be the odd man out when it's all said and done. But, Rob, as a team that always has injuries, I imagine these guys might have roles. Someone might get injured, and these guys might all make the team, and whoever doesn't might just be the one who's injured. So we'll say, Nathaniel Lowe, I think all these guys have to show that they are going to be able to come off the bench. Can you pinch hit? Can you be a defensive substitute? And that's something that they're going to have to work on. For Nathaniel Lowe, I think, his batting average is lower, but that home run was, again, it was just such a hard hit ball, and I think that provides something to the lineup that maybe there's a chance Dane Myers can beat him out, but I really don't think so.
I doubt it.
Because of when they signed him. The only thing is, like, our bench is left-hand heavy, but when our lineup's right-hand heavy, then who cares? So I would say that I'm impressed. This is what you want to see. This is what competition brings out. You mentioned guys like Reese Hines. Steele Hall, Rob, by the way, 18. He doesn't turn 19 until July.
Jeez,
crazy.
Dude.
And he's getting these big-time at-bats, even in spring training, big-time at-bats. But I like the competition. The deepness of this team will provide that competition. It'll make it so there are less people we can't afford to trade. Matt McLain, 500 batting average with his home run, too. That competition, while he's not for the last spot on the roster, that competition is pushing him forward, too, and I'm excited to see that. And what this might mean, as you said, Rob, is there could be a trade coming up. If there's someone who's not going to act as a good teammate, maybe we trade him. If there's someone who's struggling, or a prospect, because now we have Steele Hall, maybe Edwin Arroyo, maybe we want to trade him because Steele Hall's coming up in a couple of years. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it gives you a lot more flexibility with this roster moving forward, that there is this ability to have more people to provide offense off the bench for you. And, Rob, I'm reading another book about the 2004 Red Sox, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but there was an issue with Nomar Garcia-Parra where he was coming back from injury, and they ended up trading him, and everyone in Boston would have said, "You're crazy," the year before. But I'm just kind of giving more info about Tito's mind. Tito loves being a player's manager. He loves hyping people up. But as soon as you don't buy in, or as soon as you start to kind of not provide for the team, he ain't afraid to get rid of you. So that's something to watch out for, too, where if we have too many guys and someone's upset about it, maybe they get traded. Maybe that helps us win. They traded Nomar Garcia-Parra for Orlando Cabrera, who's a Reds legend, and Doug Binkevich, and that helped their defense, and that got them a World Series title. So that's my biggest thing, is that Red Sox team had a little bit of depth to them. They had those guys. They traded Nomar to get more depth, and they even had Pokey Reese, Reds legend, too. But that might be something that we do in the future, too, is like, maybe it's not as dramatic as trading Nomar Garcia-Parra. Maybe it's, Dane Myers, you're killing it in spring training. We don't think you're going to keep it up. You're traded, dude. Or maybe it's trading one of these prospects that makes it more exciting, because everyone I could have wanted to see so far step up has stepped up. This is kind of the week where we kind of find out more. I think that this third week of hitting, I think, is really going to be huge.
Yeah, we'll see people really start to separate themselves, and if not, great. If everybody that is battling for a spot is hitting 300 plus, everybody hits another home run or two this week, I think you and I will both take that without a doubt. I mean, there's so much. Even Tyson Lewis, by the way, got an at-bat. So the Reds are trying to get their young guys a little bit of action early on, and I think that is definitely a good thing for them. We'll talk about the bullpen real quick. I think Luis May is starting to separate himself, and not in a good way, unfortunately. I think he just still needs more time to cook, Joe. He has really struggled. They're giving him opportunities, but in 3 games, he's only been able to finish 2 innings, 6 hits, 9 earned runs, a home run, 3 walks. He does have his 5 strikeouts, which is good. There's a chance that he is one of the guys who is working on something new. I will say, of all the guys that I'm seeing on here that are struggling, there's a very real chance because he is trying to get down those walk numbers. So there's a possibility, Joe, that he could be that guy for the Reds, and I would be fine with that. He is 25 though, so he is really nearing the end of you got to figure it out soon, son, or you're gonna probably be a AAA guy for a while. So, yeah, he's like the one guy I really wanted to mention. Graham struggled in his outing as well, but with Graham Ashcraft, you know what's funny, dude, is that I noticed this would happen like 1 out of every like 20 games or something like that. He'd give up like 5 runs, and then the rest of the time he was fine. So I'm going to assume that that's what it is. The other guy who I think has been surprisingly on the schneid a little bit is Leon Richardson. In 3 games, 3 innings, he's given up 7 hits, 4 earned runs, a home run, 2 walks to 2 strikeouts. I did see something about Sam Moll as well. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter, but they were talking about he's barely hitting 91 right now. So not looking too good for those guys, even though you'll look at Sam Moll and be like, oh, he's got 2 innings, only 1 hit, 2 walks, and 2 strikeouts. But apparently his stuff's just not really looking great. We'll see. You know, I think if he really wants to make the team, I think he's got to add like 2 or 3 miles an hour onto that fastball, personally, because I think that they'll kick him right on out to put Brandon Williamson in instead. So, yeah, I mean, what else are you noticing with the bullpen, or do you have any thoughts on those guys?
Some on those guys, Luis May, it is weird that he had like 2 bad outings and then 1 outing where the Reds are tweeting out. I don't know if you saw that they tweeted out like the strike zone and every pitch that he threw. If you just type in Luis May on Twitter, it's like the first thing that comes up. I remember seeing that earlier in the week.
I think he had 3 strikeouts in the inning, right, or something like that.
Yeah. They were just all they did was, I guess because they didn't have video, they just posted where the pitches landed. I do think that he could have a role, but it maybe needs to start in AAA. And just having the stuff he has and the velocity he has, he could have a big role on this bullpen.
Yeah.
And it's just, if he's not ready for day one, I'm not too concerned. I think he's going to figure it out. Graham Ashcraft getting roughed up, something we saw at times last year. I think he'll settle down too. Richardson is more of a concern to me, and it's just because doesn't have the pedigree that these other 2 guys. Like Luis May, we've seen him with his stuff be crazy. With Graham Ashcraft, he's been up for several years. Richardson might be one of those guys, 1-year wonder. You just don't know. You mentioned Sam Moll. I think it's a good call out, Rob. It's going to be tough for him to make the team because we did make a concerted effort to go get more lefties out of the bullpen. Brock Burke has a 3 ERA in 3 games. That's not bad. Caleb Ferguson has only pitched in 1 game. He has 0 ERA. So, as you said, Brandon Williamson could also be a left-hander out of the bullpen too. So there's just so many more options. I don't think we have to put up with the Sam Moll BS this year, where it's like he just doesn't have it, and if he doesn't have it, he's not going to be on the team, and that's okay. That was kind of, I think, maybe the more underrated moves that they made this offseason. I know Gino's awesome and some of the other moves, but hitting these left-handers so we don't have to rely on Sam Moll and and Brent Suter to an extent, even though he wasn't exactly a lefty specialist. He was more of a long guy in the bullpen. Just having more versatility in the bullpen, I think, is going to be good because we have these guys in there. And even though some of them are struggling, like I said, I think Ashcraft's gonna be ready to go for opening day.
No doubt.
Luis may not be ready for opening day, but he's gonna have a role this year, and his stuff is just so good.
Yeah.
I think this bullpen's gonna be good. And just because we're talking about it now and having it on notes to talk later, Emilio Pagan turned down a chance to play in the World Baseball Classic because he said, I just felt bad. The Reds gave me all this money. I didn't want to blow out my arm pitching in that. And in a way, I feel kind of bad because I want him to be able to, represent and play in the World Baseball Classic. But another way, like, thanks, dude. You're kind of old. You're kind of an old bullpen guy, and I want you to save your arm for us. So I really do appreciate it, and appreciate how loyal he was, as you said a couple weeks ago, Rob, that he wanted to come back. And got some of his guys come over. That's really good and loyalty that you like to see. So I'm still panic meter with the bullpen 1 out of 10. I'm about a 2 or 3. It's like a little bit in the back of my mind, but it's not really bugging me at all. I think these guys will settle down, and the guys we do have, the lefties we do have who are pitching well, have really helped the versatility for us.
I'm at a 1. I'm not worried about him at all. Like, the depth, I think, will figure itself out. Getting depth, I think, for bullpen is probably one of the easiest things that you can do. Good depth is a different thing, right? And I think that's what I was going to say is that a lot of the pundits are giving the Reds, like, a bad offseason grade. And in my mind, I'm like, tell me you don't know what the Reds' problems were without telling me, right? By giving them a bad grade, like, their bullpen needed to be completely rehauled. It did, from top to bottom. And we've talked about it. I still fully believe this. I think that this bullpen has a very real chance, Joe, of being a top 10 bullpen. I very much believe that. It's going to be, with, like, Pagan has to be the guy. But, even if he's not, that's okay. I mean, if you've kind of noticed, Joe, there's one guy who has not really pitched much yet, because I think they're saving him for the regular season because they use him so often, and that's Tony Santillan, right? Like, these guys who they're not worried about, that's why he and Ferguson have each gotten 1 inning pitched so far, right? That's why Emilio has one inning pitched. Like, they know who their guys are, and right now they're just trying to figure out who are those last couple spots going to be. I am 0% worried right now about this bullpen. Now, if everybody else starts getting, roughed up, if the big guys that we are really, like, depending on, those guys who I just mentioned, if Graham has another really bad outing, right, if Tony starts getting absolutely crushed for some reason, then I'm going to be a little worried, Joe. That's where my panic meter would start to kind of rise a little bit, even in spring training. But, Luis May, I didn't even expect him to be on the team, right? Connor Phillips hasn't looked great, but, like, he's done this in the past. I have faith he'll kind of figure it out as well. You even have some guys who've got a lot of experience, like Junior Marte, right? If you absolutely have to have, like, a last bullpen guy, you can throw him in there and probably be okay. Big Sugar's kind of calmed it down a little bit after that first outing, so I'm hopeful that maybe he can take that step forward, because he had 4 walks in that first appearance. He's had none since then, right? So, like, I want to see them all kind of take their next step and do that. The last thing I'll say on the bullpen, I'm going to say shout out to Emilio Pagan. That man is showing that he is a freaking leader, dude. And, like, when was the last time that you remember a player loving, like, Cincinnati like that, to where they're like, yeah, man, like, I think we've got that good of a chance to win that I'm not going to ruin my arm to play in another World Baseball Classic. Like, I don't really remember a guy who has come over who's not come up through the system, or not come here when they were younger, or not come here when they were, like, down and the Reds claimed them as a reclamation project. Like, this guy came here on a chance, and he is now going to be our guy. Like, he is that leader, I think, in terms of the bullpen, and he's your main guy too. Like, I love it personally. When he said that, I was like, all right, Emilio, as much crap as I talked about you in year 1 is as much good stuff as I'm going to talk about you in years 2, 3, and 4. I'm hoping with year 3 and 4, but yeah.
Yeah, I too appreciate it. And honestly, I would not do the same thing if I were in his spot. If I get a
Nope.
chance for my country to represent World Baseball Classic, I love that event so much. It is kind of lopsided with the top teams being so much better than the bottom teams. But I would definitely play in that if I were him. And I appreciate that he isn't, because that's something that I wouldn't do. But also, last year he was the guy, who, after Jonathan India a couple of years ago, who pushed the front office to go do more, get more at the deadline. Let's try to win. We got to the playoffs. He deserves credit for kind of putting pressure on the front office. And I think, like I said last year, Rob, like, I think he would have been cool. Like, he may have been a little bit pissed, but he would have been cool if they would have gone out and gotten a star closer and been like, hey, man, we love
He
what
just
you've
wants
done,
to win.
yeah, we get an Aroldis Chapman type closer on this team. Oh boy, but you're the setup guy. He'd have been like, cool, let's do it. Me and Tony are the setup guys. Let's do it. That's at least the impression I got from him, and I appreciate him being on the team. And I will still have, like, if you're giving me, because you brought up, other people are giving us maybe bad grades in the offseason, Rob. if you gave me different ways we can improve this team, yes, getting a star closer is one, and his role would have to change. Yes, getting another bat would be good. Getting a third catcher, maybe, but like it's not as profound. And I think him being able to kind of be flexible with that, or at least seemingly flexible with that, is huge. One other thing, Rob, we haven't seen T.J. Antone since
I
that
know. I was
first,
thinking that too. Yeah.
and I'm kind of wondering about. I wonder if he's it's they've not said it. I've looked on Twitter while you were talking, Rob. I've looked on Google. I have not seen one thing about him. So I hope he's okay, and I hope he can kind of push. Like I said, competition is good. If we have some of these guys not doing well, and they have other people playing well, it's going to be good to push them towards playing better. And hopefully he comes back and gets to make a push for this bullpen as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they're just being extra careful with him, I think is really what it is right now. So, that's my prediction of him, potentially making the team, that was more based on the fact that he was pitching at all. I figured they must have felt that he was very much ready to roll, but it seems like maybe that's not the case. So, which is fine, honestly. I'd rather them take their time with him, because if he's healthy, I guarantee you that he will find a way onto this team at some point or another. Guarantee it. But it's just going to be about, him being healthy and being able to do what he does best, which is throw that wicked breaking ball with a, mid to upper 90s fastball. So, yeah, 100%. That's kind of what I'm feeling with that one, and we'll see. We are on Antone watch 100%. I have a feeling he'll pitch sometime in the next 3 games, would be my guess. And if he doesn't, then there's a chance that maybe not injury, but that he's not recovering from the inning that he threw as well as they would like, right? Maybe he's just really, really sore. And if that's the case, that's okay. It's just, it might be a longer recovery process than we thought. So, okay, Joe, we're heading into our starting lineups. Starting lineup predictions. We're going to go spot by spot. Top to bottom, if that's cool with you, Joe, or do you want to go position by position and say where they're at?
We can go top to bottom if you want.
I feel like that's easier. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll start there. I'll let you lead us off. Pun intended. Who is leading off for us on opening day? Now, I will preface this by saying this is what we believe the starting lineup. Everybody, God willing, is healthy and everything like that. These are the guys that we have right now. Who do you have leading us off 2026 opening day against the Red Sox?
TJ Friedl, easiest thing on the list, I think, because they said Ellie's going to bat, third, but like there's a world where maybe that changed. I don't know. This is the easiest one though. He's the guy who's been a leadoff hitter for a couple of years. Terry loves him. I appreciate his. We talked about the video about him.
Mm-hmm.
Bunt hitting and what he could do in the leadoff spot. And I think a lot of his struggles last year, too, I think was just like 1 month, a little bit. And that was in May or June, I think he was struggling. Yep. And then also, like we said with other guys, he just never had anyone hitting him behind him in the 2-hole that like was consistent and good. And that hurts him. So he's back. I'm excited for him. I do think that figuring out who's going to hit behind him consistently is going to be a big issue this year. And then also, let's make sure we don't have that slump, because in terms of a lineup that has been inconsistent for a lot of their careers, all their other guys, he's been, other than that one slump, he's been pretty consistent. So we need him. We need him to not have that slump this year, because there could be a time where, Ellie and Suarez and McLain and even Marte and Steer, they've had their ups and downs. So we need the consistency at the top of the lineup, and I think he provides that.
Yeah, no, he's my guy too. I don't think there's much more to add. I think he is so criminally underrated. I think there's a chance he could be an all-timer in terms of like, he may never really leave this club, Joe, because I just don't think people value him enough to pay him like an absurd amount. And I think the Reds know his value. And I feel like even as he gets older in his career, they'll always be willing to pay him to be like that. If they have to move him to left or right, or if they need him to end up being a fourth outfielder as he gets older, with some spot starts here and there. Like, he just kind of feels like that guy to me right now. Like a guy that they just don't have any reason to let go. He's just always solid. Like, you need that guy in your lineup. TJ Friedl brings that. Whenever he is healthy, pretty much he is out there getting it done. I really do. I think he is so freaking underrated, and I think sometimes downright disrespected, considering how consistent that man has been for pretty much his entire career here as a Cincinnati Red. So leading off for him is awesome. I'll put us in the second spot here, Joe. I know you can see it. They can't, but I'm going to tell them. I think Matty Bangs. I think Mr. McLain is going to lock down that 2 spot. You want the speed up there, the mix with power. He is, when healthy and when doing what he should be doing, the perfect 2-hole hitter. Because I think this man can hit 25 to 30 home runs in a healthy season, Joe. And I will tell you straight up, that man looks strong. I don't know if you saw his home run, Joe, but one of the things I noticed outside of that, his hands looked quick. His swing was really good. He almost inside-outed a curveball that was ducking in. Or I think they might have said it was a sinker. I just know it was kind of making its way down in. He's going to be challenging, I think, the big dumper. Dude, this man has been squatting. It was like, you just can tell, like, he's just thicker, like, all around. It's crazy. And I'm guessing it's to kind of support, all the different muscle groups and everything, right? Yeah, when you're stronger, it's not just for, like, actual, like, bicep, triceps, right? It's also for your like ligaments, right? And your elbows and your shoulders and your knees and your hips, right? Like all of those different areas. And he's buffed up, and he hit the crap out of that ball to the opposite field, and he's hitting well, he's running well, he's playing good defense. I just don't see any reason, if he hits over 300 during spring, I see zero reason why he will not be that number 2 hole, and giving the Reds, I think, hopefully what we had really anticipated we would get last season.
Yeah, I have McLain batting second as well. That seems to be something they're doing in the lineups. Batting order doesn't matter all the time, but when a guy, I think 4 or 5 out of the game so far is batted second, that gives an indication where they're at. I would personally put him lower in the order to start the year, keep the pressure off him. The pressure's already there from a sense of, if you don't hit, my job might be taken by Spencer Steer and Bill Day in left field. I would put him lower, and I think I would have almost any other combination at number 2. Just to take that pressure off. I do think McLain is the best number 2 hitter if he is right, but I don't want that pressure getting to him. I don't want him to be pressing like he was so early last year that he ended up not working out. I would rather have Steer, I'd rather have Marte, I'd rather have Sal in that 2 spot, or moving Ellie up, or whatever, whatever it is. But they're going to do this, and I do think, again, when he's healthy, that's a really good number 2 hitter. If he gets his mind out of the gutter, as they say, gets focused. He has been playing well in spring, so if he keeps on playing well in spring, he can have that 2 spot. They said there was going to be a competition for number 2 in the order. They have had Marte bat there, I think, once or twice, and they have not put Spencer Steer there at number 2, even though they said he was going to be in the competition. And again, that does not mean they're not going to come to opening day and be like, Spencer Steer batting second, because it's just how spring training works. But I think they want to get McLain comfortable in the 2 hole, which, again, I don't agree with, but it is a strategy that I don't think I'm very, very against if you think he is going to have this bounce back year. I want the pressure off, to be honest, for him.
He says he likes the pressure, right? He likes the competition. I'm hopeful that will lead him to play the way he needs to. I am still very much a big believer, and I will say this until the cows come home, as they like to say, Joe. I really do believe his injury, that's like a 2-year-long injury, guys. I cannot stress that enough. This is going to be the time if we figure out if he's actually healthy. And we started to see it down the stretch, Joe. Like once kind of like June, July hit, he started hitting a lot better. I fully anticipate that will be the case. I think he's going to cut down on the strikeouts. I think he's going to be like a 260, 270, maybe 280 kind of guy for them. And I would be fine with that. Give us your 3 hole. I think this one's easy, unless you got anything else to say. Sorry.
Yeah, no, just I think that's the thing is, like, hopefully he's good, and this maybe is a vote of confidence in him too, but also making him earn it, making the competition like, hey, we're going to have a competition for the 2 spot. I'd love to have an everyday lineup we just write on the card and do that, but maybe awesome. That's not in the cards. So, let's see if he comes back and let's see what he does. 3 holes pretty easy. It's Ellie. Yeah. It's, I would definitely, for people, if it doesn't go well to start the year, I would hear arguments to move him up to 2 or even to 1. But as things sit, they're pretty set on Ellie. I love his progress as a hitter. I love his progress being stronger this year. They they are going to, I think, benefit from both the 2-hole and the 3-hole because McLain and Ellie are some of the worst in terms of getting screwed over by umpires in terms of the strike zone, which is weird because you have the short guy, Matt McLain, what, 5'9", whatever, 5'10", and then you have maybe even shorter, honestly, if he's listed at that. But then you have Ellie, who, Rob, I don't know if you saw, he grew an inch. He's 6'6" now. At least that's what he's listed at.
I
So,
mean, they say you can grow an inch around 25, so or up till
yeah.
25. So
So that's going to be fun to watch. We just because it's topical now, we are leading spring training in ABS challenges. We're +7,
yes,
and that's going to have a huge impact for McLean, who is one of these two hitters are some of the most aggrieved hitters. So if they are smart about how they use their challenges, that could add an extra run or two some games. So that's something to watch out for. But Ellie's the number 3-hole hitter. The 5-tool player you have, just going to be fun to watch him, and hopefully no major slumps this year. That's what I'm hoping for.
yeah, me too. I mean, I think for me, here, give me 1 second here. One thing here, Joe, that I will say is the leg kick is back and it looks good. It looks really good. I think it seems like he's getting his timing down, and when you're stronger, right, it's easier to kind of get that, I think, in rhythm with him. So it may mean that he'll have more prolonged slumps, because last year I know really it was just his power that was in a prolonged slump, but I felt like he was making contact most of the season. I feel, the leg kick is, your timing gets off for a week or whatever, it can be a problem. But yeah, I mean, he's looked awesome. He looks like he's ready to lead. He looks like he is ready to be the guy. Continuing on here, at number 4, I think the easiest one is going to be Gino, Mr. A. Eugenio Suarez. And I think this will be the last one I think you and I will for sure agree upon. Now, we may end up having the same lineup just because you and I have been, talking for so many years that we just kind of have similar thought processes about these things. But I think Gino's got to be the guy right there, right now. I love that. And I think that, the good vibes only. I hope he goes off with Venezuela and has a great time. I mean this in the best way, but I hope that he plays in 3 or 4 games and then he comes back home. I want him ready for the Red season. I hope that he represents his country and he does very well, but just, pray for no injuries and just, a good start for Gino. He's not been terrible, obviously, so far, but he is leading the team as expected with 5 strikeouts. So I know people are going to be, focusing on that. It feels like they're just trying to kind of get him into a rhythm before he's off for, what is it going to be, a week and a half, 2 weeks-ish? If Venezuela were to go all the way, we would get him back, I think, right before the end of spring training. I think he'd be technically back for 1 game or 1 split squad, maybe at the end. So, I mean, the one thing I will say is he's not going to get better, competition than here, in some cases. So I don't know who Venezuela plays, what group they're in. But, yeah, I mean, Gino at the 4-hole. That's what they signed him for, and I think he's excited to be there.
Hopefully he's DH for them too. That'd be nice. Where he's
That would be ideal. Yes.
Bigger chance of injury. And it's funny you said that Tariq Skubal is getting so much hate on a line right now for being a guy who's going to make 1 start for USA and then go back to camp. That's kind of shitty on my part. I feel like if you're going to sign up for the team, take someone's spot.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Unless if they're like, hey, we only want you for 1, but what's the point even? He's arguably the best pitcher in the world right now. I don't know why he's and if he's going to get 1 start, why have it be then? Save him until a really big game. I don't care if he pitches against Team Italy. What does it matter? Yeah. I don't know. That's silly to me.
That's my thing. I think you can either be all in or all out. And either way, if you're gone, that's cool. I don't know. I would not make the decision. But if at least you told the team, hey, I'm not going to play I'll play for the first 2 games and I'm out. The rest of this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, Gino, I hope he plays well for Venezuela, like you said. He is, I'm not expecting 49 home runs. I know that the numbers say that he's playing in a better ballpark, and he's done it before in this ballpark. He said 49 home runs. But I'm expecting if he can give us 35 home runs, what a lift that would be to this team.
Oh,
that is
huge.
14 less than last year, playing in a nicer ballpark. Yeah, I would say that the slumping lineup scares me with him and Ellie back to back. I think there's going to be lots of times where it's like both of them, have rough times. But I think what's nice about this lineup, Rob, is because I do have issues with 2 through 4 and their streakiness. Is there's guys behind them that I think won't be equally bad at the same times, and I do think that there's a guy like Sal Stewart who could be next. I don't know how your lineup is. I didn't look yet, but
He
the
didn't look.
he could he I don't think he's a guy who is going to be prone to those slumps from what we've seen so far. Out of all the Reds hitters we've seen, seems to be the most professional, the most see the ball, hit the ball type of guy, and that's yeah. So I guess what I'd say is 2 through 4 streakiness scares me, but man, when it's on, it's going to be so on, and I'm excited for that.
I mean, dude, yeah. I mean, if McLain, Ellie, and Gino are on all at the same time, the Reds may not lose a game for a week, which I know may not sound like a lot. But if you win 6 games in a week, if you go on a stretch because your 2 through 4 hitters are just mashing all at the same time, I mean, my heart gets racing, dude, because I'm so excited about the potential for this club. Like, this is what we talked about all offseason. You guys were probably sick of hearing it, but like, the Reds needed one more bat to like be that final piece into this lineup. Gino does that. Even if like, and I'll give when we're done here like a different sort of lineup just for fun, because I've been thinking about it while Joe and I have been talking. So I will give that as well and give you guys an example of like how much flexibility this team this year is going to have. So I wanted to throw that out there, Joe, just so you know as well. But yeah, man, I'm excited about Gino. You're up next though with the 5 hole. Okay. Who do you have batting 5th behind Eugenio Suarez?
Like I said earlier, I don't agree with this lineup, but I think this is the one they're going to put out. I think Spencer Steer is going to be 5th.
Okay.
He's been batting 5th for a lot of spring training, and again, like I said earlier, I think that they said he could be in play for the number 2 spot, but they haven't really put him there. And I'm not saying that's like he's totally out on that, but that's something that they'll have to do here soon, in the next couple of weeks when the rosters get cut down. That's something that I think is going to be something to watch out for. But I think what that does is they're going to say, here, you batted 5th in spring training. You've been such a valuable member to this team. This takes the pressure off of Sal in his first year as a Red. That's what I think is going to happen. I would not do it the same way.
Okay. I'm putting together my other lineup very quickly. I can see why you would feel that way. I mean, Steer has been like the guy for us. So obviously he's starting. I'll just tell you now, he's my guy at 6. I have him batting in the 6 hole. I think it's a perfect spot for him. Honestly, I think, if it comes down to it, right, Ellie gets on base. We'll say an inning starts off. Ellie gets on base, right? The 2 guys behind him don't get it done, but Ellie's was able to steal, and get to second base. I think Steer's such a good, bat to ball guy, such a good contact guy that he knows, and he's so good at driving in runs, right? Why wouldn't you put him in the 5 or 6 hole? I think that's just a no-brainer for me. I think he could theoretically be the 2nd or the 3rd most RBIs in this team. He is consistently hit with runners in scoring position. We have talked about that the last couple of weeks. I have no problem putting him there in the 6 hole and letting him, produce, because I think there are so many guys ahead of him that will be on base at different points. So I'm cool with that. My 5th hole guy is Sal Stewart. As you said, I think he is a very polished hitter for how young he is. He has so much joy for the game. Can you imagine, Gino gets walked and Sal Stewart hits a home run? The celebration between the 2 of them alone is going to be awesome. Like, learning from Gino, seeing what he sees and being that guy, like, I'm really trying hard not to fall into the same trap that we did with McLain specifically, where it felt like McLain was also this super polished hitter. We got just a little bit of him, and we were both sitting here like, oh, wow, like Matt McLain, extend him, all this kind of stuff, right? The Reds should be trying to extend Sal Stewart, by the way, like right now. Like 100%, they need to be on with his agent. I haven't looked who it is. I'm just putting this out there. Sal Stewart needs to be getting signed with the Reds for as long as they can keep him, because I think he is so professional. The home run that he hit, Joe, was another guy who was an inside-out swing. That ball was coming in on him, and he hit it 400. He pulled the ball. A little bit of left center. But over 400 freaking feet on a ball that would normally jam anybody else. Like, this dude is going to bring, like, excitement, hype. I mean, those eyebrows alone are freaking worth it, man. I'm ready for him to just absolutely mash this year. And I love, in my lineup right now, you have Gino ahead of him, right? And you have a really good hitter in Spencer Steer behind him. That gives you that extra protection for Sal Stewart. And I mean, to me, if you're telling me that this is our 1 through 6 to start the year, dude, I am hyped, because you know that this team is scoring runs in a much bigger way than people imagine. So that's where I had at 5. So again, I went Gino, Sal, Steer. Right now, you've got Gino and Steer. Who's your 6?
It's Sal.
It's
That's
Sal.
a good spot for him. Again, if I was doing this personally, Sal would be batting second.
Okay.
So I'm that confident in his hitting abilities, and if he takes a step back, this is a sport where it is what have you done for me lately. So I would not have Matt McLain anywhere close to number 2 in the order. Personally, I'm okay with the decision if we're just trying to kind of revamp how he's done things. That's something that we'll have to figure out. But he's a guy who didn't hit above 247. I would put Sal Stewart in there at number 2. Sorry, Matt McLain did not. He batted 287 in June last year. Otherwise, the highest month he had was 247.
Yep.
That's still, yes, the injury, maybe he's better this year, but I would rather go with the guy who's hot right now, the guy who I think is a better hitter overall. McLain, I think, could be a better average hitter when it's all said and done, but man, that would be really cool. But Sal Stewart comes in at 6 for me because, again, they have Steer at 5 right now in spring training. Sal Stewart, I feel like they like to keep lower in the lineup and keep that pressure off. I don't think he's the guy who responds to that pressure one way or the other. I think he just goes and hits. But that really does give you a chance, I think, at 6 to have a little bit of pop in the bat there. He had 5 home runs in 18 games last year. He had a .5 WAR in 18 games last year.
That
can
crazy.
help clear the base. Yeah, he could help clear the bases if Ellie gets on and Gino strikes out and for some reason, I don't know, we'll say Steer moves him over or something, Sal will get him in. So that's something I feel confident in the 6 hole. Again, would probably have him higher for me, but I understand them wanting to get him a little bit of at bats under his belt to start the year before they start talking about moving him up the lineup.
Yeah, by the way, that would average out for about a 4.5 to 5 WAR across a whole season. So you got him and Ellie doing that. You're feeling real good. In the 7th hole, then, Joe, we're back to you technically in our lineup. Who do you have at the 7?
Bobby Marte.
Same.
The guy who last year really impressed after not doing so the year before. He's a guy that, again, I would be fine if they had hit an actual competition for the 2 spot and he was in it. I think he was that good last year. Obviously, this year I think he has a chance to have an even better offensive year, to be honest, too, because middle of the year they move him out to right field and he was so natural at it. He did have some hiccups, but for the most part played pretty well.
He looked great.
Now he has that set position. He doesn't have to worry about the defense as much. He can just go be himself in the outfield, and I think that as still a young guy continues to get bigger, get towards his prime, he could be a guy that, I don't know how to say this, but he could be a guy who we may not be the MVP of the team that's almost wrapped up with Ellie and Gino just because of how big of stars they are, but he might be the guy who might be the most underrated player on this team if he's batting this low in the lineup and he has the type of season that we know he can have. I think that's something that if some of the guys earlier in the order struggle, whether it is McLain, whether it's Steer, whether it's Sal Stewart, he can move right up and play and hit in any of those spots, and I would feel like it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. The back part of the order would be kind of shaky after that if they moved him up and other guys struggled, but I'd be comfortable in his ability to do his job at the 2 hole, at the 5 hole, at the 6 hole.
He is so sneaky good at everything. He's not a 5-tool player in the traditional sense, but he is the 5B tool player. He's got speed. He's got the arm, right? He's got the contact, the power. I forget what the other one is. What's the 5th one? What am I missing here? Just the defense, I guess, in general, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he can literally do it all. He just doesn't do it at the same level as Ellie does. And that's okay. I mean, if you tell me this guy is going to hit, because he'll have a full season. In 90 games, right, he hit 14 home runs, 51 RBIs. He struck out 85 times, which is a good amount, but whatever. Like 10 stolen bases, 263, a 748, OPS. I expect that to jump a little bit, especially with the pressure off of him in the lineup. But like, if he hits 20, 25 home runs, if your 7-hitter is hitting 25 home runs, right? Like, you're feeling really good. I mean, he had 51 RBIs too. He was just another guy who did really well with runners in scoring position. Like, there's a world where, let's say, even like worst case scenario, Gino really just becomes a home run guy, and that's all he can be. Maybe they don't want him batting at 4. You move everybody up a little bit, right? I'm okay with Marte getting more at bats, like you said. I'm okay with him batting in the 2-hole. I'm even okay with him maybe making his way to the 5-hole. I think Sal, Steer, and Marte are all unbelievable 5-hole hitters. And that's why I have them here in a row. Like, I think all of them can do that, and I think whoever's the hot hand, you just put there at the 5. Right? Like, that's really how I would feel about this. I think people do forget how good he is. I mean, what more can you really ask for from this guy other than the fact that, yeah, he did steroids for a little bit, whatever. Like, we're past that at this point. If he does it again, then it becomes more of an issue. But he's made it to the big leagues. I think he's a really solid player, and I'm excited to see him in right field. He's got the arm talent to be out there. If he continues to just kind of make it natural, he floats a little bit when he's catching the ball sometimes. And I'm like, oh, maybe Noelvi Marte is like way more athletic than we thought as well. It's just been really nice to see. I don't remember, which trade was he part of? He wasn't part of the Gino and Jesse trade. I think he was part of.
No, he was. Who the trade was he was? I'll look it up while you finish up.
It was the pitcher. It was Luis Castillo. It was the Luis Castillo trade. So the fact that that's paying off as well as it is, by the way, with Edwin Arroyo pushing for a spot too. Like, yeah, it took a couple years, but I think Marte is going to be a very underrated. I'm going to make one prediction for him. If he has a pretty good season, I think he works his way into the top 10 right fielders in baseball. I think he has that kind of talent, really and truly. So, and if the Reds have a bunch of top, fringe guys at the top 10 position, that's as good as having like 1 or 2 top 3 guys. So just keep that in mind. Like, this is what I mean by this team is that deep. Because then at the 8-hole, I have Tyler Stevenson, who, Joe, let's be real here. We, in years past, were like, hey, like, we saw, Steve-O batting 4th for this team. And he is still one of the better offensive catchers in all of baseball. This guy as well has potential 20 home run when he plays in a whole season. He's never played more than 142 games in a 162 game season. Joe, he played in 88 games last year and hit 13 home runs. The year before, 138 for 19. If he had literally played in those 3 extra games, just based on the kind of pace that he was at, he probably would have hit that 20th home run. When you can say that your 8-hole hitter has the potential to hit 20 plus home runs, sign me up, right? Just sign me the frick up, man. Like, I am so about it right now. I think it's sad that he's going to probably be gone after the season, but I'm going to really enjoy. I'm hoping for the most best season that we have ever had from Tyler Stevenson. And if he goes off into the sunset and has just, a really great free agency, then good for him. But, I mean, I would obviously love for him to stay another year or two, personally, until Duno's ready. Which, real quick side note, did you notice that Duno has slimmed down a little bit, too? Mm-hmm. Love that. Very happy about that. But, yeah, I think Tyler Stevenson has the true chance to just sit here at the bottom of the order and give some real stability, like you talked about, right? And be that guy when you get to that 8-hole, you're as a pitcher, right? You're like, okay, hopefully I'm getting a break. Finally, I get a little bit, and then Tyler Stevenson hits a freaking rocket double off of you, and you're like, are you serious, man? And now the guy who I think we'll both end up having at the 9-hole is a guy who's a good, bat to ball guy. I mean, I don't know about you, Joe, but this lineup is setting up very well when you have Tyler Stevenson there at the 8. Who do you have at the 8?
It's Tyler Stevenson.
Cool.
I think he is arguably behind Ellie and Gino this year. He's arguably the most important player on the Reds. If you lose him, we saw what happened once Trevino got extended playing time. It didn't go well. He can cover for if Stevenson goes on the DL for whatever. He's out 7 to 10 days. Fine. If he's out for a long time, this lineup kind of, I wouldn't say falls apart without him, but the back end does have some issues where you go from Trevino and then to the next guy we're going to talk about where there's some issues, and that just makes it a little bit worse. So, having an offensive catcher is huge. He needs to have a big year, I think, for us to really reach our potential. I do think that having his 2021 or 2024 years where he had a 2 WAR or higher, he batted 286 in 2021, 258 in 2024. That's all it is like, just can he stay healthy? So far, obviously, not having the health issues this year, can he play 140-ish games for us at catcher? Can we, on days where we really need offense, can we move him to DH and put Gino at third? And whatever, put Nathaniel Lowe at first, or whatever we need to do, just move things around. And we do that to get him to 140 games because he's such a unique piece. And if we lose that offense from the catcher spot, that is not something you can replicate by a trade. Like, you can't, no one trades if they're this good at offense at catcher, no one trades them because that's such a valuable thing. So that's why I think he's so valuable behind those top 2 guys, Ellie and Gino. And I really hope he's able to play the number of games because I think he could have another 2 to 2.4 WAR season, and if he has that on top of some of the other guys we talked about, that is just such a big boost to the team. So again, stay healthy, Tyler Stevenson. I'm glad he's not in the talks for World Baseball Classic. I'm glad he's going to be just focused on the season for the Reds. And again, I don't want to undersell how important he is. He goes down for more than 7 to 10 days. It is a bad thing. We can definitely win some games. We can stay 500, all that stuff, but it is a bad thing if we lose him for an extended period of time because of how valuable I think he is to this lineup.
Yeah, and that's why, again, I would love to see him extended until Duno's ready. I mean, really and truly, that's what the Reds will probably need to do. It doesn't sound like it's happening, but I hope that they find a way to make that happen. We head to the last guy in this lineup, and let's be honest here, Joe. He's not the best hitter, but damn, he is one great glove, and I'm fine having him here at the 9 hole, mostly because of the fact he's actually pretty quick still. He is bat to ball, like we've said. Joe, he got way better as a Red. Now you're going to go, but he still batted 234. He was batting 236 with the Pirates. I don't care, because guess what else he did, Joe? He had 30 walks in 158 at-bats. He had, 18 walks, in 158 at-bats. Only 30 strikeouts. He raised his OBP by almost 40 points, which is really good. He raised his slugging percentage by 52 points coming over to the Reds. He had more home runs in half the games and half the at-bats. His name is Ke'Bryan Hayes, and you will respect it. Period. Okay? It's fine. Like, you want a really good guy there at third base. He can cover bunts as well as anybody. He covers the line right as well as anybody. He could even slide over to shortstop in an absolute emergency situation. He is absolutely worth having at the price that they have him here. When you can have like a guaranteed Gold Glover, like think about Tucker Barnhart, right? Tucker Barnhart was that guy who would bat, 240, whatever, right? But we knew that we were getting elite defense behind the plate. I know that third base is more of like your power, but when you have power at first, second, and shortstop, you can afford to let Ke'Bryan Hayes hit 230, hit 240, right, in this lineup, and be a guy who can move people over. Joe, like, that's going to be a lot of his job, is going to be hit the opposite way, move the runner from second to third, give, the top of the lineup their chance to do what they need to do. There's a lot of value in that inherently, and you're not going to see it in traditional stats, but look, if he for some reason can turn back and be that 2023 guy who hit 15 home runs, 31 doubles, 104 strikeouts to 28 walks, a 271 batting average, I mean, sign me up. If everybody has their close to their best season, there's a chance this team wins a World Series. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, they are, if everybody is near their best, they can go toe-to-toe with most of the best lineups in baseball. They can go toe-to-toe with, all the best starting pitching and bullpen in baseball. Like, if Brian Hayes is that last piece, I think we're both very okay with that.
Yeah, I'm not cool with the Reds fans saying, "Oh, he's not going to start every day" and all this stuff. Like
Yeah, he is.
this is a guy who had a 1.5 WAR last year when everyone was mad about him batting 235 for the year. And in 2022, he had a 244 batting average and a 4.5 WAR. That's very hard.
Unheard
That's
of.
like Ozzie Smith did stuff like that. That's how good defensively he is. He's a good ninth hitter. Occasionally will provide big moments like we saw. There were some big hits he had for us last
Absolutely.
year too. And I think if your nine hitter is batting 235, that's a good line. Assuming everyone else it's not screwed up and everyone else batting ahead of him sucks. Like
Yeah.
235 at the back end is good. He's going to provide that defense. This is a team that, if everything goes to plan, this team is built on pitching and defense, where LA takes a step forward. Brian Hayes shuts down third base. Matt McLain comes back and hits decently. I don't know. Successful for him would be like 260 this year. If he can do that and just because the expectation, but be really good defensively, I'm fine. Whatever. Even if the power's not all the way there, just keep on getting up guys on base. We'll get them moved over. Sal Stewart, hopefully good at first base. We'll see how better at second base. So he has experience at other positions, so he should be good at first. I feel like, and the outfield's okay at defense. Like that. This is how it's built. So if he was batting 20 points lower last year, I would say cool. Like maybe there's a conversation, but he didn't. He had 235, and he still had a positive WAR. And I don't think Reds fans remember the last several years how many times we had players with negative WAR playing. And I mean, they only remember Santiago Espinal. Let me remind you, but Espinal was a utility guy. We had starters. We had guys playing every single day in the negative WARs. We had Will Benson. We had Matt McLain last year. We had so many different guys. If this guy is your biggest complaint with the Reds in this lineup at the 9-hole, he's not mine, I'll tell you that much. But if he is for you, that's a good line.
Yeah, that's a very good lineup. There's no doubt about that. And that's where, for me, I think Brian Hayes is just he's also a key. He's a key part of it. Not like I'm not kidding. Like I would have said that regardless of his name, but he is. He's an extremely important part of this lineup. And I think a player who is another one that's going to be criminally underrated by everybody. And I think the Reds did what they got him for, Joe, is still mind-blowing to me. And I know the Pirates are like, thank goodness, good riddance that we don't have him anymore. It was because their offense was really bad. I mean, like, extremely bad. Like, they were relying on Brian Hayes to actually do something offensively. We are not. We are not reliant on if Brian Hayes hits over 230. We're just not. Even if he hits 220. Whatever, right? If he has a couple big hits a couple big home runs, the amount of plays that he'll make defensively just doesn't really matter. It evens it out, I think, in a pretty big way, at least for me personally. So I'm very happy about that, Joe. I think that we were pretty much lockstep with our starting lineups. I'm going to give one really quickly that I think would be interesting just kind of going into the season. I'm going to throw this out there, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Ellie leadoff, Friedel at the 2, Gino at the 3, Sal at the 4, Marte, Steer, Stevenson, Key, and then Matty Bangs at the 9-hole to kind of give you that Tony La Russa, as he liked to put it, that 9-hole guy who can be your second leadoff hitter. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I feel like I know people probably wouldn't love it with McLain, but you're getting Ellie more at bats, right? You're giving your best hitter that. He gets on base. You have the best bunter in baseball behind him. You're getting Gino more opportunities to hit home runs. At this point, that means that Sal is probably matured into a really strong hitter. I'm just saying, like, there's a world where I think this lineup is just as good, personally, maybe even a little bit better. And it takes the pressure, like you said, off of McLain. McLain gets to be that guy who like leads off technically, right, from that 9-hitter, if they want to call it that, to bring the lineup back around. He hits a double. Ellie gets to have a guy on base, so people have to pitch to him more often. They got to pitch to him, because you don't want to lead off the game, giving him a walk. It just feels like it could be a fun lineup.
Yeah, that's what I've been pushing for forever because it's how the Braves did it with all their top young bats at the top of the order and Acuna sometimes batting first and all that. I think if you want to play the analytics game, which I'm sometimes against, I can get on board with just putting your best hitters at the top of the lineup so they get more at bats. The kind of the way things were done, maybe a little bit antiquated. I'm fine if you want to do that. I do think there's a place for having your best hitter third, your power hitter fourth. We saw Kyle Schwarber lead off a lot of games and had a lot of home runs too.
Yep.
I know that house should not be named because of how he treated us, but that's all right. And also comments this week by the Reds team. I think Ellie said that he thought Schwarber was signed. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're ready to
Everybody
go."
thought that Schwarber was signed, but apparently he was worried about how much money he would be taking up from what the Reds had available for other good players. And I'm like, bro, if you thought coming to Cincinnati was going to be Philadelphia where you could have a bunch of $30 million players, you are crazy. But
Yeah,
whatever.
and honestly, he's the last. Like same thing with Gino. He would have been the last piece that we wouldn't have had to add much more. So that's
Correct.
whatever.
Yeah.
For the future, yes, I would get that. But like that's for this year. That team would be awesome. But yeah, this is what I've been wanting. I want Ellie batting leadoff. If he slumps, that's something you can move him back to 3-hole or move him down or whatever. I want, like I said, I would personally, and people won't like this either. I'd have Ellie, I'd have Sal Stewart, I'd have Gino, and then you figure it out from there. And I really don't care. Those are your three best hitters, I think, this year. If you wanted to keep Friedel at 2 because he's such a good contact hitter and because he bunts, that's fine too. But I was going all offense. I don't give a crap about how things were done in the 1980s. I want those three guys who are the most impactful guys batting the first three. And again, if Sal Stewart ends up to struggle, move him down. I don't really care. Move Marte, move anyone else up. I don't really care. But yeah, I'm on board with that too. I think that's if let's say Friedel gets hurt this year and we miss his time, we don't want to see that. This is a lineup that I think you should run out where it's Ellie
100%.
and then insert person number 2, whether it's McLain or Steer or Sal or whoever, then Gino, and then you kind of still have that enough depth. So, yeah, like I said, I think this is a really good lineup. I have worries about Matt McLain at number 2, but let's give him a shot. And if he doesn't work out, we'll move him down.
I'm excited. I think that generally we're going to be kind of spot on. I think it's going to depend on. I could see Sal batting as low as 7th, by the way, just because he is still a rookie, right? You could see Steer Marte after Gino or Marte Steer after Gino. That wouldn't really surprise me at all. Maybe even Stevenson if he is just crushing the ball coming into the season. Like, that's how deep they are, guys, is all the way down to 8. You have a guy who could bat as high as 4th or 5th in your lineup depending on the day. So, I mean, this is as good as it gets for me, Joe. I am very, very pleased with this Reds starting lineup. And, yeah, there's a linchpin of like, well, we need this guy to do this or this guy to do that. That's where this bench depth comes in, right? The beautiful thing about Spencer Steer is he's so consistent that if you need somebody in the infield, you just plop him down in the infield and you have J.J. Bleday or Will Benson go out into left field. If you're worried that Marte is not going to hit, right, or God forbid you get down to the point where you need Marte to go back to third base, he can do that still, right? And you have that outfield depth. So it's really, I think, imperative at this point, Joe, for them to have that. They've got the depth, I think, down there in AAA as well. So a great starting lineup in my mind. We will, by the way, either the week before or the week of, we'll give our final 26-man roster predictions. So keep it locked in for that as well. If you're good, we're going to head into what to look forward to in the games this week.
Yeah, it's good with me.
Let's move on then. We got the Cubs. Then the Reds are actually going to play the Cuban national team for the World Baseball Classic, which will be cool. Then we get the Dodgers, the Giants, the Royals, and then a split squad against the D-backs on Sunday. A lot of Reds baseball. I think Tuesday's the only off day for them. Joe, what are you looking for most this week?
Not much because there's only 2 games televised, but no, I'm kidding. I would love to see that Cuba game televised, honestly, too. But
me too.
The things I'm looking for is just that bullpen battle. Again, I'm pretty sure we're going to lock down Chase Burns as that 5th starter. I know the competition's going. I know Rhett Lauder leads the team in strikeouts right now, which is impressive just because
he's
of the type
pitched
he
so
is.
well, man.
But the bullpen is the thing that I think actually has the. If the Reds make the wrong call on the 25th or 24th guy on the roster, end of the day they have options and it probably will be an okay choice. The bullpen, end of the bullpen does scare me a bit. Like we said earlier, So let's see some of these guys get better performances. Let's see if Luis May can settle down. Let's see. They have enough guys that it will probably turn out being okay, but I want to see who the last choices for these bullpens are, because it's not just about best pitcher. It's sometimes about options. It's sometimes about, we have two left-handers already. Do we need a third left-hander? Do we have a flamethrower? Does this guy have good stuff, or is this guy a placement guy? It's a lot more to it, and I'm excited to see what happens there and who ends up making the team, because they're probably, I guess this is breaking news, but they reassigned guys already today while we're talking.
Who?
So
okay, yeah, who? I'm not surprised.
So it's not many big names, but Connor Burns, Michael Chavis, Cam Collier, Carson Spires, Michael Toglia, and Joel Valdez. So, again, Spires.
Toglia getting sent down already. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, 51 players left in Major League Camp. I was surprised by some of those names, but it is starting to get to the nitty gritty of who's going to make this roster, and that's just how it's going to be. So I'm excited to see which guys end up staying around for a bit longer, because I do think there's a good depth, but some of them aren't pitching very well, and I don't take spring trading too heavily, but when there's a competition, you better have your A game for these next couple weeks, especially when some of these guys go to the World Baseball Classic this week.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. I will say there's one guy who has not pitched yet this spring who I would anticipate will pitch this week, and that's Brady Singer. Burns has already gotten 2 starts. Lauder's already gotten 2 opportunities as well. I know that those are the 2 who are battling it out, but man, what do you do if you come out of spring training and they're both leading the team in strikeouts and they continue to have batting averages against people in the hundreds? I mean, Rhett Lauder's got a .8 whip in 5 innings pitched. I know that it's only 5 innings, but I just don't know. What are you going to do? How do you not keep Rhett Lauder on this roster if he does what he's doing? That's what I'm going to watch for, is I want to see the 2 of them kind of continue to duke it out. I want to see some of our other guys start getting ramped up more. I want to see a little bit more Santillan. I want to see a little bit more Pagan as well. And then I'm really watching these hitters. I think that last bench spot is going to be an absolute bloodbath. If Dane Myers keeps hitting the way that he does, what the hell do you do at this point? I mean, good Lord. I mean, it's just I don't know what you do. I really don't. I mean, I guess you have to send him down, because it sounds like Benson's got the track. Bladay's just absolutely crushing the ball low. Like we said, you can't let go, and then you got Trevino. So I guess Dane Myers goes down, but man, I don't know. Those are definitely going to be the things that I'm going to be watching for the most. Is I want to see Singer come out. I want to see the Rhett Lauder and the Chase Burns battle, and I really want to see, if Dane Myers, I think Dane Myers specifically, if he continues to hit, because if he and Rhett Lauder are just pressing, the Reds to actually have to make a move, I don't know what you do. I don't know how you tell a guy who's hit 500 that he doesn't make the club. I just don't know how you do that when Will Benson. I mean, I love Will Benson. I don't want to lose him at all. I've talked about that before, but if Benson hits 200 all of spring, we know what he can do. Maybe Dane Myers just needed a change of scenery getting out of Miami. I don't know. I'm not making any big statements right now. I'm just saying that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to be watching for before we head into the show for next week. But we'll see what happens, Joe. I mean, if the Reds go for this is 7 games, so 5-2, something like that. You're gonna be hyping me all the way up at that point. I'm gonna be scary excited about this team. I know it's just spring training, but guys, it's their depth. What they're showing right now to me is just depth that we have not seen in a Reds team, maybe in our lifetimes. Even those teams with Votto and Bruce, I don't remember the depth being this strong all the way down through AAA, Joe. It just didn't feel like that. They had maybe better stars, right? But the depth being you don't have a Miguel Cairo who's going to bat 140 on your team, right? You got maybe a Dane Myers who's going to hit 220 or something like that, and you'd be kind of okay with that. So just depth beyond all depth, and I'm so happy about it. You got any final thoughts there before we go to your wise words of wisdoms and fun facts?
No, I mean, not often you say a guy like Dane Myers needs to change the scenery from Miami, but come to the Midwest. There's less distractions here. Maybe you can focus up.
Well, I just mean just the team being so bad. A lot of time, when you get to a contender, some guys get kind of pumped up. So,
and it's a good spot to be in for him. I think like I said, there's a chance he makes the team. But yeah, I think bullpen and watching that last couple of roster spots, we'll see what happens. And again, it sucks to say this, but a lot of it's going to work itself out. Someone's going to get injured this week, and I'm knocking on wood that no one does. We get the best lineup possible, but having the depth is more important for a team like the Reds because we don't have those stars. So if we do lose someone, if J.J. Bleday goes down, Dane Myers being a serviceable outfielder we can bring up or on the roster already, that's something that is going to be impactful this year because a lot of times the last couple of years we've had guys who I think we knew ahead of time they were not Major League Baseball players, and we were hoping for a great story. But there's a lot of guys who played a lot of innings over the last couple of years who should not. Some of the young guys you brought up, maybe there's still a chance for them to develop. Guys like Blake Dunn just weren't ready for Major League Baseball, and he's not the only one for sure. There's plenty of guys like that. Don't mean to single him out, but that's like we have guys who can play, and I think that's going to be really impactful for this team. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I was going to say, is it's like you get to Dane Myers, who's your starting number one probably hitter, down there in AAA, but you still have Blake Dunn, you still have Hector Rodriguez, you still have Edwin Arroyo, right? Instead of us having to rely on those fringe top prospects to kind of come up and do something for you, you have that buffer before you get to them. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah, let's head into your fun facts. Wise words.
All
What
right.
you got?
Cool story about P.J. Higgins. He's a catcher for us in AAA. He spent some time with the Cubs, about how he's really good with the challenge system. So there's all, and it's, I guess I'll parlay this into something else. But he's going with, I think the third catcher spot, Rob, might be something we don't need to address because Will Banfield's been hitting the hell out of the ball in spring.
He has.
P.J. Higgins has Major League experience. We don't need to go. I don't think we need to go give up anything to go get a third catcher. Those guys can be fine. If Stevenson goes down, we're screwed anyway. So who cares? At that position, we're screwed. What else we got? We signed a 12-year-old to a contract, Rob.
Crazy. 2.8 million or something like that.
Yeah, so that's something. I thought I'd say it on the pod. I don't have many thoughts. I probably wouldn't give a 12-year-old a contract like that. But if it's like, hey, we're a small market team, we got to get ahead of some of the other teams. Cool. Who would have thought we're at this day and age where we're giving 12-year-olds contracts that are...
Yeah, hey, we'll see you in 10 years, bro. 2036 Cincinnati Reds starting lineup.
And then one last thing, Joey Votto was on the Jim Day podcast last week. Interesting tidbits. He's going to be on NBC. He still doesn't know what his role is going to be. Is he going to be calling games? Is he going to be in the studio? He has some fun hobbies now that he's done with baseball, that he is now surfing. He now, because he wasn't the greatest student and he was focusing on baseball, he is now having a private instructor teach him math and teach him all these other things.
Wow.
And that's just like, that's the most Joey Votto thing ever. So hopefully he keeps that up. I think that's something really cool. If you have all the money in the world, and like I know kids want to be done with school all the time, but it's really funny that he's just like, yeah, this guy comes and teaches me math for like 45 minutes a day. And I sit there and watch and learn. And I'm like, okay, that's definitely the weirdest, not the weirdest, it is the most unique way I think a millionaire or billionaire has ever spent any money is doing that, but it's different. It's not like
because he's so smart, man. He's just so smart.
Yeah, so that's a good interview. As everyone remembers to resubscribe to their pod, including ours, but resubscribe to the podcasts for the year for the Reds, and get ready for this one. I'm excited to see Joey Votto call some games. I think he's going to provide a unique perspective.
I agree. Mine is Backyard Baseball is officially back. Got announced last week. If you grew up like we did playing Backyard Baseball, they are bringing it back officially July 9th. I would highly suggest giving it a look. I've been doing a couple series, as Joe knows, playing through the different backyard games as they've come out. They re-released the older ones over at the Game House's main channel. And those have been really fun. I'm excited about this. I'm hesitant because of the 3D. Joe, I know we all love the 2D. Looks like they're doing basically a faithful reconstruction, but in a more modern textures. So I'm opening my mind up to it a little more. I was really hoping they were going to do some crazy, like really well designed 2D graphics, but I'll take 3D. It's cool. Like honestly, it looks like it's going to be really fun, and I'm very hopeful for it. So that'll be coming out the week before the All-Star break, by the way. So they have lined that up perfectly, I think intentionally, for the week after July 4th and the week before we, head over to the All-Star break. So, yeah, Joe, look, we're really excited if you guys can't tell. We got Reds baseball. This team is shaping up well. We just got to keep hoping and praying for no injuries, Joe. That's the big deal right now. Just keep this team as healthy as possible. And, we'll have to see kind of how everything else goes, but I'm really excited about this. I know that you are too, and you guys should be as well. There's a very real good Red season coming up here, and we've got some more baseball. Go watch the World Baseball Classic. Enjoy that as well. Go Team USA. And I think that's going to do it for us here on this one, Joe. So, from our house ears, thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one.